Hi, this is Jpar, and this is the new review. Today on the show, we have Myles, we have Clayton, and we have Da Boo. This week on the show, we are going to review the new movie, Split. That's right, starring James McAvoy. It's a new M. Night Shyamalan movie. Shyamalan.
You just made up that last name.
So we're going to talk about that today. It's interesting. It's interesting. But before we get into that, everybody say hello to the crowd.
Hey. I didn't know if you were talking to me or it's Clayton.
Oh my god.
It's Clayton. It's definitely me.
Left
and
to the
just
host,
me in here.
Oh, and I'm also here. Myles, by the way.
That was a multiple personality joke that just went horribly.
Myles is here. I told you about this, Myles.
And Da Boo, I think, is also involved. I don't know. We're all confused.
It's starting to sound that way. Aren't they lovely, ladies and gentlemen? So that awkward introduction was brought to you by the We Promise Nothing crew. And before we get into our review today, we're going to remind you to check our show out on Eastlink. It is Late Night Ticket. That's right, we do something similar here where we review movies. And if you want to see what our handsome faces look like, you can do that by tuning into Eastlink if you're in the local Sudbury area. That's channel 10 and HD 610. And if it's not in your area, then go to the Eastlink website and request it. Say you want some Late Night Ticket. Alright, so we're going to get into this review here. It's Split. It just came out. Did James McAvoy was he nominated for this? His portrayal in this?
I don't think so.
I don't know. I think it came close to nominations.
Was it nominated for Best Movie?
Yes, it was.
Okay, well, at least he got that. So it's PG-13. It's classified as a horror thriller. And, like I said, M. Night Shyamalan is the one who wrote and directed this. It stars James McAvoy, Anya Taylor-Joy, Betty Buckley, Haley Lou Richardson, and Jessica Sula, and others. 3 girls are kidnapped by a man with a diagnosed 23 distinctive personalities. They must try to escape before the apparent emergence of the frightful new 24th personality. So the one with the split personalities is James McAvoy, famous for his X-Men fame as Xavier, as young Xavier. So we're going to do a little facts and trivia, but let's get the first impressions from the gang here. We're going to start with the Boo this time. What is your first impressions of Split?
I think it was an absolutely wonderful film. It was a really nice shocker to see that someone like James actually had brought so many different personalities from one performance, right? Because he had to change himself up almost every new scene. So it was nice to see that he was capable of fulfilling that role. And I didn't have to worry the entire time. So it was nice to say I could sit there and enjoy the ride the entire time. So,
yeah, and I actually enjoyed this too, especially for an M. Night Shyamalan movie, which, I mean, it's been a while since I've seen one that I've actually enjoyed. Of course, everyone loves Sixth Sense, or at least most people do for the most part. Will this fare as well as Sixth Sense? I'll let you know in a little bit. Clayton?
It was okay. I didn't mind it. It was like kind of middle of the road for me. I'm not gonna lie. I wasn't super thrilled with it, but I can't really level any super huge criticisms at it either.
And Myles?
I liked it. I don't know if it was because he was on a stint of bad movies. 4 in a row that I counted that I saw.
Ugh.
Lady in the Water, The Happening, The Last Airbender, After Earth.
Oof. All stinkers.
Yeah, once that Will Smith, Jaden Smith movie came out, I was kind of like, okay.
You're done, Shyamalan.
I'm done with watching your movies.
I'm amazed they even let him buy a camcorder anymore, actually.
Yeah. So I kind of went in, undecided of how I was going to feel, but I came out actually enjoying the movie. It was really well done. I liked it.
Yeah, you're right about that. That's 4 bad ones in a row. It's been a while since Shyamalan's hit a good one, and this one seemed to invoke something in some people, and a lot of people went to go see it. It was even nominated, so I mean, not like the Oscars mean anything anyways, but, it counts for something, right?
I even totally forgot that After Earth was an M. Night Shyamalan movie.
Well, we all tried to forget.
I think
we all tried to forget about
too,
that
yeah.
movie. Will Smith, I'm sure, still tries to forget it every night when he goes to bed. All right, now let's get to the facts and trivia presented to you by IMDb. So the main character is, I guess you could say, Kevin, or whatever his many personalities are. So like James McAvoy's character in this movie, a real person by the name of Billy Milligan was diagnosed with multiple personality disorder with 24 personalities inside him. His condition was used in his defense for crimes he said was committed not by him, but his other personalities. Sounds like you got a good lawyer as one of your personalities.
Yeah.
So when Joaquin Phoenix and the production couldn't reach a contract agreement, James McAvoy was cast in the lead. So this should have been a Joaquin Phoenix movie, apparently.
Joaquin Phoenix was tapped to do this movie.
Apparently, so you would have taken some of his creepiness that we've seen, and I'm glad they went with James McAvoy on this.
Yeah, it definitely could have been worse.
Mm-hmm.
All right, in Kevin Therapist's house, you can see one of the books on the library in the background is titled Sybil. This was a pseudonym given to a woman with 16 personalities. There are 2 made-for-TV versions of the story, Sybil in 1976 and Sybil in 2007. James McAvoy played Professor Charles Xavier in the X-Men prequels, as we all know. And just a coincidence, Professor X's son in the comics, Legion, is a mutant with dissociative identity disorder. Legion had its own on-screen debut in Legion, which just came out this year. And the very same year, Split had a wide release. So, I found that too. I thought that was odd. I thought that was very similar to Xavier's son's character when I saw this. And I don't know if that was the reason for casting James McAvoy, if that's why they got the idea or not. But that's immediately what I thought of when I saw this. I'm like, this is kind of like Legion, but not, because it's Xavier, but it's not Xavier. Anyways, that's what I was thinking. And, the other stuff I was going to get into is a little bit of the spoiler town, so we're not going to get into that yet. What we usually do is we review it for about 10 minutes. We're going to let you know what we think about the movie without getting into spoilers. We're going to break it down to a rating, and we'll let you know what we think of the movie that way. And then that's the point where we're going to flip in the spoiler town. We're going to let you know what we really like and what Clayton really doesn't like about this movie. Da Boo, start us off. What do you like about Split without giving anything away?
Well, I guess I'll just get right to it. I really do feel it was James's performance. That, to me, that had to be probably the best feature of this entire film, and for good reason. It's what drove the story forward. If his characters, like all of his infinite personalities, or in this case, finite, each of them had something different to bring to the screen, and I was worried that any actor, in this case, I was even worried for James's sake at the beginning that he might not have been able to pull it off. Like, there would have been too many similarities between those personalities for me to notice. Mm-hmm. I didn't get any of that. I really genuinely felt that every time there was a new personality up on screen, I didn't care if he was, if he brought it prior to that or not. It just always seemed like someone new and fresh.
So what's the rating?
I was getting that. Wow, you really rushed to the guy.
Let it breathe.
I will say this. This is, I think, the biggest. I can only give it a 3.5 out of 5. It wasn't a mind-blowing movie. It's just that it had so many really key factors to it that I think needed to be said, and I think one of them had to be James's performance. So that makes up for the majority of that 3.5 out of 5 for me. That's it.
Okay. Cool. I'm like, shit. You know what? Yeah, I'll give it a 4. It was pretty good. It's mind-bending in some ways, not as mind-bending as, say, like Arrival is, but it does make you think of what the human mind could actually do, and then when you start thinking about the possibilities, and you start thinking, oh, maybe the human mind could do this. So it's also a bit of the supernatural side in that sense, too. It's because really, who could actually do all the stuff that he's doing? I don't want to give anything away. We'll get into that in the spoiler town. But I was actually really impressed. I didn't really expect anything out of this, and as you said, Da Boo, James McAvoy's performance really sold this movie for me. So, yeah, I enjoyed it. Kalatos.
James McAvoy's an okay actor. I don't mind him. I'm glad to see that he's getting a lot more he's getting a lot more exposure and he's getting bigger roles and he's becoming more of a household name now. It's kind of nice because he is a good actor. I liked the premise of the movie, but I didn't particularly like the way that Shyamalan shot it. There were some things that I would change, and it was just okay. I don't know. Maybe it's just a case that it's just not my movie. I can't really level too many criticisms at it, but I don't. I didn't really.
Are you saying that the setting just kind of didn't?
No,
do
it
for
just
you?
I don't know. There was just this feeling of, oh, okay, that's happening now.
Because
The whole way through the movie, I was just kind of like, oh, that's neat. Okay, that's cool. What's next?
I really do
All
get
right.
that everything's very much in the same space, so I get that can have its limitations.
Yeah, like they didn't. I'll save it for spoiler time.
Okay.
All right.
I'll dig into it.
So what'd you give it?
I'll give it a 3.
Okay. That's
Okay,
all.
how do you follow that up? So I'm going to echo Jpar and Da Boo. McAvoy sold it for me. Like you said, Da Boo, every time he was on screen, a different character, even just walking into the darkness and then coming out as somebody else, I saw somebody else. His mannerisms, the way he carried himself were spot on. And M. Night Shyamalan wasn't scared to go dark. There was a lot of dark storytelling in this movie, and I won't talk about it right now, but it kind of came out of left field for me anyways. I didn't expect that, and it was very cringy, but it needed to happen because, gave us the twist. So, but if I were to give it a mark, I'd give it 3.5. I would have given it a 4, but everybody around McAvoy was just too stiff for me. The daughter, the friends, the dad, the doctor.
You didn't like the doctor, Betty Buckley?
No, I was starting to like her, and then I don't know. She just started to go bleh on me. So it was like everybody was told to be bland so that McAvoy could shine. I don't know if maybe that's what happened, but that's what I got out of it.
All
So
right.
3.5.
All right, so there you go. Fair ratings, I think, for this movie. So it's definitely worth checking out at least. Now we're going to flip into Spoiler Town. We're going to break into this movie. What's our favorite? What's our least favorite about this movie? You get the first crack. Da Boo!
Trying to think, because I know that obviously James is going to be the centerpiece of what most of our attention is going to be here. If I had to focus on one particular scene that really stood out for me, my favorite had to be when, how can I put it? I think it almost had to do with, like you brought it up in simpler terms, Myles, was how he went into the darkness and came back someone different. It's the scene where he becomes the Beast for the very first time, which is, I guess I'll just jump to the conclusion of spoiling this. We're in spoiler time, right?
Yeah, we're in Spoiler Town.
The Beast is very much that 24th, is it 24th personality?
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's the personality that every other personality, the other 23 personalities, kept repeating that, they feared him. They always understood that nothing can control the Beast, right? The second it would come out. So the moment we got to see the Beast, I felt like James did a great job. At kind of the way you described it was kind of fading out into the darkness. I guess it was in the subway scene of sorts. Did his little dance of, as he's evolving or morphing into the Beast, so to speak, and then he stands up very much Beast-like, and then you don't really get to see him in the light. He stays in the darkness, and then leads into the next scene, which sooner or later the Beast will come out. I just thought it was absolutely well done. Kind of the opposite, I think, what you were saying, Clay, how you hated the setting. The setting didn't really do it for you.
No, you said I hated the setting.
Well, it was the way you described it, I guess. But I feel like that's what led to James's characters, all of his different personalities. Everything was so claustrophobic for me throughout the entire movie, and for good reason. These girls were being confined. But every time James's character was on screen, even when he was with his psychiatrist, everything was confining. Everything was very much in very tight areas. And I don't know if that was purposely done, but it added to the effect that every time a personality from James's performance was on screen, it was all attention on him. And I think that led right up to the introduction to the Beast, which was well done. My least favorite, actually, out of the 3 young women that was captured, I was actually very disappointed with the other 2. I forget, sorry, their actresses' names. I I know the one played by Casey Cook, who I think was the one with the actual brains of the three, the one who understood that if she actually listened, she could make, I guess, make way, you know, with what
of the
personalities would show up. She was actually registering that every personality could be reasoned with up to a point. You know, so she knew the fine
Haley
line.
Lou Richardson and Jessica Sula played the other two girls.
Yeah, it's not to say they did a bad job. I just felt like because their characters were not as believable, they were just way too chaotic. Like your typical teenage girls just, you know, flipping out because they were captured. I get there's going to be a breaking point for like anyone else, but those two did absolutely nothing to make me feel like they were going to survive to any extent. I felt like right off the bat they were going to be dead.
Yeah, fodder.
With Casey's exception, where she played her character in such a way that I felt like there was a chance she could survive. And that was it. That's as far as it went. So I felt like maybe I was hoping for more out of the presence of these three young women, because other than them, James was the only other person on screen. So.
Yeah. He really did steal the whole show. And, so as you're describing the Beast, this is the 24th personality. He has a whole bunch of other personalities that he plays. And as Myles said, he plays them very well. Like, when he switches into another character, it really does seem like he's playing a different character. And I really appreciated that about this movie. You always hear that someone's a good actor, and you're like, yeah, well, he's not a bad actor. And until you see that one movie. Well, this is that one movie for James McAvoy with me. I was like, okay, yes, he is a good actor. His performance, like I said, was the best. That's my favorite in here, easily. Least favorite, like, I didn't mind that this is like a suspense kind of thriller movie, but I think this kind of touches upon some of the problems that you have with it, Boo, is that you got these two damsels in distress, and you always end up these thriller movies where you got damsels in distress. It's like, there's three of them. Like, the three of them can't jump on top of them and take them out, you know what I mean? Like, they could have done something. I just hate useless characters that can't fend for themselves, seemingly. So, I mean, there's that, and so if they kind of got rid of the thriller thing, and like they still could be a thriller, but I kind of wish it was more like digging in deep into the mind of a person who has multiple personalities. I thought they could have like elaborated on that more, made it more cerebral, made it even creepier and scarier. They could have done a lot more with that. And even just showing the potential of what the human body could do with these personalities, because, you know, there's real life cases of people, you know, what were they saying? The one was, there was one that was like, it was like, had a disease or didn't have it. Well, there was one that was blind, right?
Well, one was...
One had
oh,
diabetes.
yes. Yeah, one had diabetes.
One was diabetic, and then...
You're getting the two examples confused.
Yeah. Okay,
There's
sorry.
two different ones, yeah.
Yeah, because she was explaining, the doctor was explaining a case where somebody was blind, but the other personality wasn't. So they could carry on their day as the other personality and then, you know, be blind later on.
But there is like real life studies of people of these multiple personalities where, you know, one's a diabetic or, you know, one's blind or whatever. I don't know if it's those specific examples really, not to fact check me on that, but I mean, just to show what the human body is capable of or what your brain can trick you of doing. So it's like, I thought they really could have dug down that path a little bit further, just made it much more cerebral movie. Instead of less of a, you know, like a thriller with the girls in distress, maybe more into the mind of McAvoy and see what it is to be in this mind with split personalities. You know, I thought they could have went deeper that way. So that's probably my gripe about it. And that's it, Clayton.
Okay, so the thing that I really liked about it, and I'm going to echo both of you guys' points here, I liked the grand concept of McAvoy's characters. I liked how, even though he is technically insane, like you said, all of his characters are fully realized characters. They're not insane. None of the individual characters that reside within McAvoy's head are nuts. They are legitimate, normal, logically thinking people. I like that concept. I thought that was really great, and that they took it to such a degree, like with the diabetes, and then the evolution of the Beast, the dominant character. What I didn't like is how they took the easy way out and turned it into a slashy thriller, and there were some inconsistencies when it came to the characters, like Kevin's trigger, like McAvoy's main character, the person who he was actually born as, Trigger, is having his entire name said because of the trauma that he suffered at the hands of his mother when he was young. and yet at the end of the movie, they're just Patricia and what's the other one? Kevin? No, not Kevin.
I think Kevin's his real name.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what's Dennis?
Dennis, yeah.
I think it was Dennis and Patricia say, we
Yeah.
buried him.
Dennis, yeah.
We sent him far away. It's like, well, you could not do that before. Why suddenly you can just do that? And it was strong enough that it could pull the beast. It could pull Kevin back. It could let Kevin take the light. I think the spot.
Yeah, that's what it
called.
said. The light, I believe you're right.
So the main character who's in control of Kevin at that time has the spot or the light or whatever they call it, and by saying his name, his full name, she was able to pull Kevin out of the beast. But then she goes to say his name again or whatever, and they just have buried him. It was like in one scene they just made it too convenient. That we've just buried him now. But so I like.
How do you know multiple personalities work?
Though, like they were all initially afraid of him because he's too strong and he's too mean and this and that. But if he was so strong, then why can the other personalities just take over? Like they pulled him.
There is a constant conflict between the personalities.
But he is
you
the
see
dominant
that through the movie.
He is the newly emergent and strongest of the personalities, and yet
And now we have the emergence of a stronger personality, which is the Beast, so other ones have to take a back seat.
No, that's what I mean. So why is the Beast so easily foiled, and yet Patricia and Dennis easily have the ability to dispatch Kevin and keep the Beast at bay after that, and then they can just kind of operate around him? You know what I mean?
Man.
Like,
I'm not a psycho.
well, that's what I'm saying.
Great questions.
They had a really good concept, and then they kind of took the easy way out, and that's why I was waiting for it to keep developing into something more, and I just didn't feel like it ever actually went anywhere beyond that. They had a lot of ground that they could have explored.
That's true. A lot of good questions out of that, though.
It's kind of similar to what I said.
None of us here are experts.
Well,
at
that's
this
what I mean.
topic,
I had both you guys' points the same way, but that was what I took the negative end out of that.
I think I give it more of a rating just because I was surprised McAvoy's performance, and I was actually surprised that Shyamalan made another movie I enjoyed.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing about Shyamalan. He's got great writing skills. The problem is not everything you write on paper can translate well into film. And I think one great example of that is Lady in the Water. That was a short story he had written for his child, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And it just slowly evolved over the years into what became a movie. But in the end, what he thought would work well in film form did not. It was just so out there that it just turned out to be just too much. Whereas in this case, it really kept it grounded. Everything was kept real and very much, in the times. Until you get to the twist ending, which is partly what we're building up here too.
Well, McAvoy did a good job, in all of his characters. I mean, you guys are right. His switches and everything. When he was playing Patricia, he's. I didn't see a guy dressed up in a dress. I saw the female personality there. His acting is not in question, but they didn't really give him enough to really grow on afterwards. That's all. It just didn't go anywhere for me.
Myles, you're done, right, Clayton?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we went on a little bit of a trip there, and we came back. So, Myles, what's your favorite and least favorite?
So, obviously, McAvoy. He's the center of attention. He nailed it. I've never really understood multiple personality disorder. It's kind of like being on the outside looking in. You think that's not real. How could you not be in control of your own self? You know what I mean? One of my favorite scenes in the movie happened right at the end, and I think it kind of leads into the bad part. He's going to the subway to meet the Beast, and he is changing personalities on the way there. So he'll close his eyes, and then he'll open his eyes again, and he's in a completely different place, because time went by as a different character. And I thought that was really cool, because that's how, from what I've heard...
That makes me think of Fight Club, actually.
Well, and he had multiple personalities.
Yeah,
he bought himself flowers.
Yeah, exactly.
And then he thanked himself.
Oh, yes.
That was a cool, neat little thing, but it happened right at the end, and it kind of made me want to see more of inside, and Jpar, you said this, inside his head. What is going on? When one person is taking control or driving the bus, what are the other people experiencing? And it seems like it's just a complete memory lapse. They think that they're always in control, but there's gaps in time, and they can't make up for it. It's Patricia was taking control, or Dennis, or whatever. So that was really cool. But then it led into the the bad part is I wanted to see more, and it happened right at the end of the movie. I'm like, oh, I kind of wish the rest of the movie was like this, like just seeing through his eyes, interacting with all these people with the different personalities. I thought that would have been not a thriller, but more of a sci-fi or psychological.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. More of a psychological thing. Mindfuck. We can say it.
Okay, mindfuck.
Well, at least it had the potential of being that anyway, because it was right on the the ledge of becoming that, right?
And going back to the good, I kind of liked that dark turn that he took with the daughter. She was being molested by the uncle. That was extremely
very dark.
hard to watch.
Yeah,
like, that was intense.
crazy.
But it was necessary. It was kind of like it made sense why the other girls were so la la la, like Valley Girl, everything's okay, and then they're completely screwed.
And she's like brooding and like
she was the only one with gun experience. She could she knew how to survive. She knew how to look at people in a different light. So it was a necessary evil that had to happen in the movie. It was cringy as fuck.
Yeah.
But it really developed her character.
it did.
Being molested by my uncle saved my life.
Well, that's ironically that's how dark.
That's
it went
what it
with
is.
But here's the thing that what do you think she's gonna do now at the end of the movie? Because you find out she has to go back to him.
That extended gaze between her and the cop there was like, oh, that's a real telltale.
Like, is she just gonna fucking
I was
kill
wondering
him now?
where that was going. I'm like, okay.
Is there gonna be a sequel with her now where she kills the uncle?
Well, there might be a sequel now that there's a little universe going on here.
No, I think her character's done. I just think that was an explanation to what would like. 'Cause I think everyone assumed the same as you just assumed that she was going to get vengeance upon her uncle after all these years. She only just then summed up the courage to leave, as almost as a potential victim with this, kidnapping, to not have to go back to her uncle. Who the fuck would go back to that?
Well, it feels like this incident made her stronger, and now that it just felt like there was like a new fiery determination inside her when she was going back. It was like, I'm not gonna put up with this shit no more.
And that was the greatest theme of the entire movie: is tragedy made strength, and that's what it was.
Well, that's
right?
the Beast says it. Like the
you
unsullied
you've
are
evolved.
the unpure because they have not been torn,
And-
they have not been broken, they're not worthy.
Yeah.
And that's why the Beast doesn't devour her or whatever, because he
He
literally
saw the
he
scars,
kills the
he
other
saw the
girl,
pain.
like
And then
disembowels
started
them.
eating her.
Yeah, like he was an animal, a beast of
Oddly,
some
she
kind.
didn't really seem to have a problem with that. Like, my friends are dead and the doctor's dead, and she gets in the car, and I'm sure that she's still, like, processing everything that's happened, but she's not like, oh my god, my friend's
She's
dead.
dealt with a lifetime of.
They weren't really her
terrible
friends,
darkness.
though.
I'll be honest, the way, and I think we just explained it just a minute ago, though, where her brain processing, with the scenario in front of her is totally different than what the other two girls were doing. The other two were kind of frantic this entire time, for her it was the total opposite. She immediately went into, how can I work out of this?
From this? Yeah.
Every step of the way, she was calculating what her next set of moves would be, so
But
that she didn't end up becoming the victim.
They show her doing that in that crisis situation, but she's been letting her uncle presumably do whatever it is he does to her. We don't need to talk about that for 6-8 years. And I know that she's using school and getting stuck and having to stay late in detention. She never says it, but I'm sure that she's doing it so she doesn't have to go home.
Back home to her uncle, yeah.
But why is she running a holding pattern like that for that length of time? Why is she not, if that's the case, then why is she not figured out a way to get away?
Because she was young. She didn't know better.
Yeah, but
she didn't know how to get out of that situation. What do you do when you're put in that situation? Your dad dies, and suddenly this guy's your caretaker.
Yeah, I get that. But what I'm saying is that 8 years later, as a teenager, she's kidnapped and
When
in a
you're
panic.
teenager, you still don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, but
with your
in a
life.
panic situation, she immediately knew how to deal with McAvoy's character.
But she didn't immediately know what to do. She figured it out through the movie.
Well, she figured it out kind of quick.
Well, here's the thing: we had
the movie's only so long, dude.
I think she's going to take care of her uncle, because at the beginning of the movie, right after she, had that scene with her uncle, she pulled a shotgun to him.
Yeah,
There
there's
was
a point where she
this
was
close
going to
to
kill him.
killing him.
Do it, yeah.
She didn't do it.
That's when she was younger, too.
And then when she has to deal with McAvoy as the Beast, she shoots him.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like, that was last
that was
resort.
the breaking point.
Yeah, that was the breaking point.
She knows she can do it.
So now she shot somebody. So I think she can do it again.
I think that's what they were going for.
I think maybe there might be a director's cut to this where she does go back home and deals with the uncle. I don't know.
As the credits are playing, you just hear a shotgun.
Yeah, just a bang, yeah.
against the floor.
I don't know. Who knows?
Speaking of endings, we can't finish this off without talking about is this the twist ending where it's like, near the end of this movie, they're talking about the incidents that happened with Kevin and his multiple personalities and kidnapping the girls and all that, and talking about on the news, and they're like, this reminds me of that incident with that guy with all the fragile bones. What was his name? And then suddenly, who is there? Bruce Willis, and he says, Mr. Glass. It's like, what? M. Night Shyamalan movie universe? So now we got Unbreakable versus The Beast.
It makes perfect sense to me because with all these comic book movies that we're getting lately, this is kind of like a more grittier version of that. You know what I mean? Because these are plausible people in reality, so to speak. I mean, the character in Split is based off of an actual
case,
individual, right? So it's kind of cool to see that all of this is just pure circumstantial, but at the same time, it turned out to be a story that kind of unfolds into almost like a comic book story. Because Unbreakable with Bruce Willis's character was exactly that. He was the superhero.
Yeah.
Mr. Glass being the main villain of that, that issue of comic book, and now we got this new potential villain.
If they did that, I would watch it. Because I loved them.
Well, good news for you, Clayton, because they are.
What? Are they?
Yeah. So, a few little things I want to let you guys know. M. Night Shyamalan originally wrote the Kevin character for Unbreakable, but decided to use him in a separate film 15 years later, this one being Split. The train Kevin's dad left on when he was a child is the same Amtrak train that crashes in Unbreakable 2000. And the movie poster that shows cracked glass is similar to the poster for Unbreakable and alludes to the fact that both movies are within the same cinematic universe. This has indeed been confirmed by the director of both movies, M. Night Shyamalan. He also stated that he intends to make a third movie with characters from both films.
Sweet.
So you will see Bruce Willis as the Unbreakable character versus James McAvoy as the Beast.
Okay, so some advice for M. Night Shyamalan. Please leave Lady in the Water out of it. Don't bring up the village. Just stay focused.
And
stay the course.
This time the plants do not retaliate on the heroes.
Yeah, my
please.
God, with the happening?
Don't call Mark Wahlberg. Leave him at home.
Yeah, leave Mark alone.
Let him do his Transformers movies.
Don't fuck this up, buddy, because I think this is your last chance.
Okay, here's a question for everyone, though. What's your theories on how the plot would unfold with Bruce Willis's character meeting the Beast for the first time? Because we all know, I mean...
Well, he's already aware of him because of the TV report.
Yeah.
Well, yes, Bruce's character is aware of the Beast.
So it could be a similar incident that happens, and then maybe he recognizes the pattern, and then someone, was trying to tell him, was like, oh, you got the ability to help those girls, you know what I mean? He's like, I don't know if I can do it anymore, I'm too old, and plus, water kills me, so, I suck.
I was just going to say, like...
water kills me?
That's his weakness, it's water!
Water. We're going to have to keep an eye out for
kiddie superhero?
Pools. Yeah, we're going to have to keep an eye out for kiddie pools, because apparently that's his kryptonite.
Well, it's a good thing his arch nemesis isn't Hydro Man, because he'd be dead.
Everybody's got a weakness.
That's actually leading up to my other question, I think, with that same topic in mind. What's the Beast's weakness? What would you guys say?
Other personalities.
Yeah,
I know.
Exactly.
I don't think so. I think they're a
Beast...
strength now because they are actually rallying behind him in the scene with the mirror where he's showing that the shotgun shot never went through.
I get the feeling you'll always be able to talk to that. What was the
Hedwig?
Henwick was the kid? Yeah, you'll always be able to talk to that one, and you'll be able to rationalize with that one and convince him.
He was like, man, that's fucking awesome. It was like the first swear he said in the movie. When he saw that the shot didn't go through, he was like, but the thing is, but the thing is that they say that he has 24 personalities, but they really didn't run through all of them.
No,
There's
they
a
did
bunch
it.
of personalities that you haven't met
They
yet,
could definitely touch upon some others that we didn't
gave us, I think, 2 or 3 extras when she was watching the video. Where she figured out where the keys were.
Yeah.
So the personalities listed by IMDb is Dennis, Patricia, Hedwig, the Beast, Kevin Wendell Crumb, that's one, Barry, Orwell, and Jade. I guess Kevin Wendell Crumb is his real name.
That's his real name. That's the name that pulls him out of Beast mode.
Okay.
My theory on that, by the way, too, because you were commenting on how is it possible the Beast could be tamed for a brief moment for Kevin to shine through and then all of a sudden go back to having control. My theory was that the Beast always allows certain characters to come through, but only at his discretion. But it was that one time when the real name was brought up that it kind of threw him off guard.
Yeah.
Brought out the real Kevin for him to briefly explain his side of the story, and then slowly lose focus and then lose control to the other personalities. Which one of them being Patricia, I think, was one of the prominent ones.
Yeah, she's one of the dominant ones.
And then it was what was Patricia? What was the other one?
Dennis.
It was.
I want to say.
Yeah,
I want to
mainly
keep saying Dennis.
It is Dennis.
I'm pretty sure it's Dennis.
With the glasses, he was
Yeah.
tough.
Yeah, and he was the one that needed to
He was the
take
creepy
charge
one.
at all times. Yeah.
He was the one that was getting the girls to undress.
And he had OCD or
OCD or something.
clean freak. And,
Yeah. Anyways, yeah.
That's
something
for
like that.
and that's
and he
from his
pretended
mother.
to be another personality too. Like he was.
That's
he
true.
was one of the smartest.
He was
ones.
highly functional
Yeah.
as that
Yeah.
personality.
Yeah.
He was going to the therapist pretending to be one of the other personalities.
I think that was Dennis pretending to be Patricia, if I'm not mistaken.
No, it was Dennis pretending to be another one of the persons.
Oh, sorry.
One
Yeah,
that
yeah.
one that the
He was an art designer.
Yeah.
It
you're
took
right,
her
sorry.
a long time.
I want to say
glean-
Barry.
Yeah,
I think it might be Barry. Yeah, you're right.
It took her a long time to glean. Did she not know that Dennis existed before?
She did
did.
know, but she never had conversation with
That's
Dennis
right,
prior
yeah.
to
And Dennis was pretending to be Barry.
because Dennis
She
never
figured it out.
revealed himself to
Yeah.
her.
It wasn't
protect
until they
himself.
watched the security footage and watched what he did with the garbage on the ground. He looked at it, and then he just kicked it.
He just
and
walked
walked
through
right
it.
through it. And like, okay, he's acting for the camera, and it's like that's not Barry.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's what she said.
Yeah.
That he deliberately walked through it because any normal person would have just walked around, and he deliberately went through to make it seem like he was an OCD.
Yeah. He
In
didn't
an
have
odd,
clean.
in an odd segue, the doctor really had something against Hooters wings too. For some reason, she just went on about how
Yeah, she drolled on.
how the security guy was eating poorly because he was eating hot wings. You don't remember that?
I
part?
don't remember that at all.
She's like blasting him for eating Hooters chicken wings,
No,
and he's
I
like,
don't.
"Just throw them out." And she's like, "How? No."
And the security guy was M. Night Shyamalan. too.
Yeah. Twist.
Yeah.
Oh, that part. Yeah, I remember. That was just so we could have so they could do one. Guess Hooters was a sponsor, and two, Shyamalan gets his spot in the movie. So there you go.
Yeah.
That's what that serves.
I didn't really find that was
Necessary.
Yeah, they could have gone about that any other
So
way.
while the Marvel multiverse is getting like these really big name brands for their sponsors, M. Night Shyamalan's universe is getting sponsored by Hooters.
Well, he's gonna
Hooters is a big brand.
wait till he moves into his extended cinematic universe and he gets the guy with the really jacked arm there from Lady in the Water. He's got one really huge arm and one really tiny arm. You remember him? He just always worked out one
I
arm.
tried not to remember that movie at all.
Yeah, who's gonna sponsor him? I have an idea, but I don't want to say it.
Are you sure?
Yeah,
Brazzers.
close enough.
It always comes back to alternative
Full
film.
circle. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
All right. So, any closing comments there, guys?
I don't know. I feel like we could keep on talking about this.
The show's only so long. Just like the movie's only so long.
Well, I mean, if you were once a fan of an M. Night Shyamalan, film, this is one I
I.e.
think that
Sixth
brought it
Sense.
back.
Sixth Sense is still better than this movie.
Yeah.
Well, that one had a proper cult following. I
No,
think is
I
the
don't
way of
think
saying
any of
it.
them are going to be as good as Sixth
I mean,
Sense.
now that we've seen,
Honestly, I enjoyed Unbreakable a little more than Sixth Sense.
Really?
Well, that was one of my
Unbreakable
favorites, yeah.
because Sixth Sense relies on that twist ending. I mean, once you know that Bruce Willis is dead, spoilers.
Oh shit.
Once you know that Bruce Willis is dead, it's like, oh, okay, well, he's just been talking to him and he's dead the whole time. But Unbreakable is like a proper superhero story. It's a superhero origin story.
I've only ever watched it once.
Really? You should watch it again.
It's a good movie.
Perhaps.
I prefer that
I
over
just
Sixth
remember
Sense,
I was
too.
like, I liked it, but then I'm just like, why is his weakness water, though?
That's something to do with he almost drowned as a kid.
Yeah, I know. That's the
It's
only
not
time
like
he was vulnerable.
instantly drowns as soon as he touches water or he's hydrophobic or anything. He has he's scared of water.
I think to me that thing's part of the reasons why I appreciate this comic book storytelling that is very grounded, because it's like you said, it's not like it's his actual kryptonite. It's not like he touches water and he dissolves instantly.
Yeah.
No, he just had a very traumatic experience, and like any human being, that would follow you throughout the rest of your life, right?
Well, they did a good job in that movie of Samuel L. Jackson's character, Mr. Glass,
Right.
explains that even though like superheroes have gotten more blown out, more exaggerated for comic books, there are understated traits that all of them have. They have their one superpower, they have their weakness, they have their nemesis, and what he did was he did a really good job of bringing that into reality. So that, you know, like, yeah, okay, so you don't shoot Bruce Willis with a water gun and, oh god, he's dead. But, you know what I mean? Like, he is scared of water.
A super soaker? Oh, I'm so screwed!
It's easy to make him panic if you get him, like, if you, like, he got thrown into a pool or whatever, it's easy to make him panic and
let's
lose
face
his
it,
head.
the way that whole scene happened, any one of us would have panicked in his fucking scenario. Like,
He's wearing a great big water slicker and...
He's clearly he's fully clothed. He fell into a freaking small pool, which was
And had
partially
the pool covered.
The tarp was on, but the tarp was actually slowly unraveling on the edges. So now, once he made it to the inside of the pool, and the tarp was covering him, worst scenario, he started wrapping himself around.
Yeah.
Like, of course, everyone would panic on that. You know, you don't need to be,
No, but it was like worst case scenario for him, and he had to overcome it. So.
No different than Sam Jackson's character when he had to,
go outside and get a comic book.
The way he explained his reasoning behind trying to find his opposite, causing so much terrorism in America just to find that one guy who was opposite to him, right?
That still seems a little bit psychopathic to kill
it definitely is
for that reason.
But that's the grounded part that I love about it, because that's realistically how we would view a villain. He's a terrorist.
Yeah.
He's someone who went so far-fetched with the killing, in a killing spree just to find the one guy. Yeah, that's pretty psychotic.
And he's above average intelligence, right?
Yeah, it's not like he's a dumb
And he's
idiot.
got the purple crushed velvet suit with that cane, like, come on, total pimp hair. Like,
Every good bad guy in a comic book movie thinks he's the hero in the story, that's why he is such a good villain.
It makes
because
sense.
he thought he did something good by bringing this guy to the surface,
which can also now lead into this new villain of ours with the Beast. He's not truly one personality, so to speak, right? Because we're dealing with one individual with multiple personalities, so you can't say that all of him as a whole is evil, because most of his personalities are quite downright
normal.
I guess naive. I think is the right word. Most of them don't even think. Most of them don't even think on the level of violence that the Beast was thinking, or let alone Dennis. Dennis, I think, even had like a touch of violence to him that I think maintained his control. But Mr. Glass was the opposite. He wasn't trying to, he wasn't trying to instill fear in the public, so to speak. He was just trying to find someone. That's all it was.
Yeah.
Whereas the Beast, I don't know what his intentions are at this point.
He wants to show the world that actually, and that there's another thing there. Like, he's like, we're going to show the world that this disease actually exists. Okay. That's a little, okay.
Like, I think he's going to show the world what he's capable of.
Yes. Yeah, but they maybe point that out in the very last scene, but all the way through that, so maybe the Beast is trying to show that, but the rest of the personalities are obsessed with being safe. Yeah, they're obsessed with, and
they're trying to survive from the Beast and the other personalities, and trying to just live like anyone else.
And the human, and the human race. I'm trying to get this out, and the rest of the human race, because they all feel like they're persecuted, and that doctor was trying to prove that it's actually a real thing, and I guess now the Beast can prove that it's real, because he stopped Buckshot. I don't know. Like, if he can, just stand up to an entire barrage of bullets or, what. But you see that before when he has the nurse crushes her in his grip there. Yeah. And she's trying to stab him with a knife, and she comes away, and the knife blade is broken. Yeah. That didn't really make a whole lot of sense, because, his skin might be able to repel that, but you're telling me she hit him with enough force to break the blade? Like, I have jammed some knives into things, and I will tell you, the blades do not shatter like that. Like, the blade was totally shattered. Bent, maybe.
Yeah, but you don't... Anyways, it's all about what the human body is capable of. Obviously, it's not real.
No, give me one of your knives. We're doing this.
No, we're not doing that.
No. All right, any other closing comments?
Watch the movie if you haven't seen already.
Yeah, I would say
Shyamalan's back, baby.
And if you really do enjoy this, you'll enjoy Legion, I think, which is another topic that was brought up before.
We haven't even seen that yet. We're gonna have to watch that.
I know, just saying. It has a similar storytelling, and under different circumstances.
It's an X-Men series.
It's an X-Men spin-off, yeah. So, but I'm just saying, if you guys like the way a split personality story arc would unfold like you did in Split, if you enjoy this, you'll enjoy Legion too. But definitely watch Split.
Yeah, check it out. It's a good movie. Shyamalan, James McAvoy, good job in both of them.
And I hope to see more work from James after this, because this has certainly opened my eyes to him.
All right. So, as usual, you can join the conversation on Twitter. We promise nothing. Drop the G. You can give us a big ol' like on Facebook. We like when you do that. You can leave a comment below. Please share and like this video. Also, check out our show on Eastlink. It's Late Night Ticket. Make sure you check that ticket. This is Jpar signing out.
Clayton.
Working on his exit spiel.
Tearing off my shirt in a train and running down the train tracks.
Sure. You broke the ending.
This is Myles going to the light.
Going beast mode.
Da Boo, try not to watch Clayton run away without a shirt.
And if you disagree with anything you've heard on the show today, or disagree with Clayton being shirtless, leave a comment
I
below.
just thought of something. Hang on, I just thought of one thing here. I'm just
Dude,
gonna
I'm
break it
closing the show.
I know. You just gotta hear
You
this.
broke the fucking ending of the show.
Okay, no, seriously. The first time he goes into beast mode, there when he's in the train, you were talking about it. He walks up to the subway car, and it pulls up, and then he gets in, and all the lights are off. What's that all about?
This is Jpar signing out. Good night, everybody. We promise nothing. Good night.
Not even good endings.
If you disagree with anything you heard on the show today, just leave a comment below. But as always,
We promise nothing.
That is the end, folks. Sorry. Good night.
Bye bye.
We got a problem here. I don't know what happened.